Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to witnesses for toughing this out. I'm just a little still stunned by the beginning of this hearing. We are investigating the IRS targeting groups who, among other things, educate about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and yet we have one of the officials potentially responsible for that invoking one of those constitutional rights. So it was a startling thing. Let me ask Mr. Wolin, just so I get this right. IRS reports essentially to the leadership of the Treasury Department and then the President. Is that the proper chain of command, so to speak?
It is, Congressman. Okay.
And Mr. Schulman, I noticed that you've made obviously a lot of trips to the White House. That was discussed. You also have met with the President in 2010, one occasion, and then twice in 2011. Is that correct?
I don't know the exact dates of meetings. So
I didn't ask the dates, but is that about 3 times during that period? Is that, I mean, we just have the log. That's what it says. June 29th, 2010, February 3rd, or excuse me, June 6th, 2011, and December 2nd, 2011.
I have memory of 2 of the meetings. I'm not sure I have memory of the meetings.
Now, we don't yet have the log for 2012, but did you ever meet with the President in the White House during 2012?
Was the last date, could you give me the last date?
The last date that we have is December 2nd, 2011.
I'm sorry, I was referring to a December 2012 where I had a photo taken with my family.
So is that the only date you remember from 2012?
So my memory, that's the only date I have any memory of with the President in 2012, except for perhaps a holiday party or some such.
Okay. So when you were going there, were those discussions, or what were those discussions about? The Affordable Care Act, 501c4s?
The discussions with
the President?
I don't remember having extensive conversations with the President. The first conversation that you referenced was about the tax gap and tax collection in general and how the IRS works and how to collect the proper amount of revenue for the government is my best recollection.
So that is the extent of the substantive conversations you had, or were there other topics discussed? I mean, I understand you were busy. I understand you meet a lot of people, but most people probably remember when they meet with the big guy.
No, that's the extent of my memory, and I also, now that you bring this up, I haven't looked at these dates. I'm not at the agency anymore. I also had a discussion once where he convened a number of agency heads talking about how to improve the government generally.
Now, according to these logs, it was pointed out that there were over 100 times where you visited the White House generally, I think 118, and there are 46 of them where there's a purpose of health care, and it looks like it started in April of 2010 and really continued throughout 2010. So when you were going to discuss health care, was that specifically to discuss the Affordable Care Act, a.k.a. Obamacare?
The IRS was tasked by Congress to have a role in the Affordable Care Act, and I had a number of conversations with at OMB and the White House about that.
One of your predecessors, Commissioner Everson, he testified about this issue with the Affordable Care Act. He said that he didn't really recall ever going to the White House for policy discussions. I think he said he may have gone one time, and he said that he worried about the IRS being this intimately associated with kind of a signature initiative, that it may actually hurt the IRS ability to conduct its core function of tax collection. Do you believe that there's a danger in that?
I believe the IRS is part of the executive branch, and when it's tasked with a major job of implementation, it needs to have proper coordination.
Well, that didn't really answer the question. I mean, putting this new, which could be a very intrusive burden in terms of American citizens having their health care, being involved with the IRS, to be able to do that is obviously going to require resources and manpower. And I guess my question is there a danger that that could take away from the traditional functions of the agency?
The IRS is, when people think about the IRS, they think about collecting taxes. They don't think about figuring out application for tax-exempt status. They don't think about a lot of things. So over the years, Congress has loaded the tax code with many, many different functions, all within the tax code, and the job of the IRS is to administer the tax code. So I really, the IRS is going to do what Congress asks it to do.
All right. I just note that still didn't really answer the question, but I will yield back to the Chairman. Thank you.